right, let's call the meeting to order. 7:47. Where's the agenda? What are we doing first? Probably
roll
reorganization, right?
Let's do roll call because we have.
Oh yeah, roll call.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like the olden days. All right, so let's start with roll call. Mr. Offen.
Often is here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do first names. Colleen.
Here.
Nicole.
Here.
Sarah.
Here.
Brittany.
Here.
And Dan is here. All right, reorganization.
Sarah, did you do it?
Mhm.
Okay, I missed it. Sorry.
Oh, yep. Yeah, got it. Got it, everybody. Cool. Yeah, so reorganization. I will entertain a motion to appoint anyone but me as chair. Anybody have any thoughts before we make any, motions? Anybody interested?
Well, you and Ed, I would say, are the most senior members at this point. Is there a reason you don't want to do it?
I just don't have the time.
And Ed's not here.
Wouldn't that
We
be
could-
great if you guys just appointed him without
Yeah,
his
just
permission?
like he can't oppose the idea.
I think Ed is a good choice,
Mhm.
but I will not make a motion without his ability to respond to it.
Hmm.
We could just leave things as they are and reorg in the next meeting, or
Which
wait.
technically leaves Ed as chair
That's
currently.
right.
So,
Or we could just put this to the end of the agenda and hopefully he'll show up. Has anybody heard from him?
I did. He is on vacation with his family, but he did plan to attend via Zoom.
Okay, so I say we just continue with the agenda and put this to later on, till he gets here.
Love that idea.
good plan. Next is financial report for the Community Preservation Committee. So
in the reorg, I don't know if you guys want to appoint like a vice chair, clerk, and treasurer, but if you select a treasurer, that person could help out with that financial report for CPC. It's due August 1st.
okay. So,
I wouldn't mind doing that as a member of CPC. I think that just makes sense.
So I'll make a motion to name Colleen as the Affordable Housing Trust treasurer. And do you also want to be the vice?
That's fine.
As well as vice chair. Can I get a second?
Second.
all right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. We will vote by roll call. Matt.
Often aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
And Brittany. Looks like Brittany might be having some connection issues. Give her a second.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I just
Okay.
got home.
Did you hear the motion we're voting on?
I did not.
It is to appoint Colleen Roy as the treasurer and vice chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Okay.
All right, and I vote aye. Congratulations,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up. Really appreciate it.
So, I take it this report is something that you can just, I don't know, talk to Mary about probably?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It's something that we do every year. That we
Yeah.
So.
It's something we do every year, and like we do this whole like, oh yeah, we have to do that thing every
Not
year.
anymore.
So
We're gonna be a little bit more on top of it.
good. All right. Next we have discuss 25 Worcester Street with the Worcester Community Housing Resources, and I believe we have a representative here.
We do. And that's me. I'm Andy Howarth. I am the Director of Development and Financing for WCHR. We're very happy to be here and to get this project moving. I sent an update. Let me first say that we have been working zealously with the town attorney on the option purchase and sale agreement, which is a much more complex document than most LDAs, primarily because if we are to use HUD funding on this, which we most certainly will need, we can't take what HUD calls a choice limiting action. And that means a conditional purchase and sale agreement. It has to be in the form of an option that when we get environmental clearances, we then enter into a purchase and sale agreement. I believe you have that in front of you. It's in the meeting package, and it's an extremely complex document, but I will be happy to answer any questions on it and then move on to the environmental work that we're beginning and the zoning work that we're beginning. Does anyone, as I said, it is an option that turns into a purchase and sale agreement when the environmental clearances are all signed off on by HUD. Fiona may be familiar with the town planning aspects of this. I would assume it will be you that will be submitting the environmental checklist to HUD, and we would hope to do what's called a joint submission, where we get the state and the local jurisdiction to both sign off on the environmental checklist and send it to HUD. And we have that is absolutely the first order of business, because we can't move to execute the PNS, nor can we get authorization to use grant funds, which is, I don't know, Fiona, are you familiar with an AGF form? Have you ever had to do one of these little beauties?
So I have dealt with the world of environmental reviews and HUD through CDBG work in the past. It's fun. But yes, no, I will be the one who will help you move the environmental review forward and submit on behalf of the town. Now that brings to mind that I should connect. We don't have, if we're not, I'll need to connect with a HUD representative to make sure that we're set up in the IDIS portal and all of that stuff to get that moving along.
Right.
So, sorry.
If you connect with the state, I think the state can help do that and do it as a joint application, which saves a lot of repetition and double layered reviews and whatnot. So not to tell you your business, but I would suggest that maybe talking to somebody at HLC Environmental would be the first step, and let them know that we're going to be submitting to both, and ask if they are interested in doing a joint submission to HUD. They're generally very cooperative. It's usually the towns or cities that don't know how to do it or haven't done it before, and
very niche.
Yeah,
I will say.
Real niche product.
Yeah.
I can get you the contact at HLC if you don't already have the ability to do that.
Yeah, Andy, why don't we connect, and I'll work on that after this meeting. You can send me that information and I'll move that forward, because yes, the planning department is, wants to support this project fully, and we'll do what we need to on behalf of the town side to move it along. So I apologize that I haven't made that connection already. I wasn't sure when the appropriate time would be, and I wanted to make sure we were in the clear and got kind of the okay for me to do that. So I'll work on that.
Is HLC the Housing and Living Communities?
Yes, Housing and Livable Communities. It used to be Department of Housing and Community Development, or DHCD. They changed the name to Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, which added one more letter. And so nobody in the field likes that, so we're just calling it HLC. So if you see us or anybody call it HLC, that's what we're talking about.
We're ripping that right off, and we will help propagate that, so we don't have to remember the 5-letter acronym.
I heard HLC recently too. It sounds like it's catching on.
Love it.
It is.
Love it.
It is. We also we had a meeting on an update on a variety of projects that we have underway at various stages with the secretary of HLC, Ed Augustus, the former Worcester city manager, and he expressed great interest in supporting this project and, of course, all others in central Massachusetts. We have a history of maybe not getting quite a proportionate share of available resources in the belt outside of 495. So I think we'll have good support at HLC, but the first step is to get the environmental clearances done. And if you are, if you don't have any questions on this option PNS agreement, I will move into what we're doing about the environmental and to the extent of everything that has to go into this submission.
Andy, if I may, just before you do that, I just wanted to be clear for some members of the trust who might not be familiar, might be on the newer side. So, where you just in case anyone is wondering, we're utilizing federal dollars to move this project along, and there's a review process that's required for HUD-funded projects, and this project triggers an environmental review, and that it can be. It's definitely a process, and it's going to take some time. So that's what we're talking about right now. We're going to connect with HLC and their state point person regarding the environmental reviews, and then we'll go in because the town has to submit it online, in conjunction with Andy's team, and I will do that. I've done this in the past, so I just didn't know how familiar everybody was. Sometimes the world of federal grants and HUD is a lot. So just so people are aware of what's going on.
I'll go through the contents of the environmental review so that the members can get an idea. Yeah, I know.
Oh boy, we'll be here for a while.
I'll be brief. If you will allow me to screen share, I can even show you a recent one that was approved and a project that's been funded, and give you some idea of what's involved in this and why it takes a long time. But I can just do it verbally if you'd like, or I could project. If your protocol allows it, I could share that document and just run through it real fast and explain to you what we're going to be doing for the next several months.
Are you okay?
Yeah, Andy, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. I'll make sure it isn't my Facebook. Let's see. There we go. Okay, this is what HUD requires for an environmental review. And what they are judging all of these characteristics on are whether there is a minor beneficial impact, no impact, minor adverse impact, or potentially significant negative impact. All right. And again, as you go through this, the first section is land use and availability, soil suitability, all of the items that relate directly to the site, from conformance with the local plan, the soil, safety and noise, energy consumption, socioeconomic impacts, including employment and income, demographics. Again, there are probably very limited impacts in these areas. Impact on community facilities and services, including education and culture, commercial business facilities, healthcare and social services, solid waste, wastewater, water supply, public safety, police, fire, and emergency. And again, on some of these, it's really a matter of we'll write a draft of what we think is an appropriate statement of impact, and the town planner and perhaps planning board, depending on your particular protocols will sign off on it and either say it's no impact, possible positive impact, minor negative impact, or potentially big impact. So most of these, the town's recommendation will prevail. On some of these, and I'll get to those in a minute, we will need to do things like conduct a noise study. We will have to do a traffic impact study. We will have to do a more detailed environmental study, including hazardous materials and including mapping any wildlife habitats or potential wetlands. We'll be coordinating with the Conservation Commission. Even though we will be pursuing a comprehensive permit process, we'll be talking with the Conservation Commission about mapping any wetlands. We don't think there are any, but again, we need to have both the local regulatory entities and occasionally outside consultants to certify these things. So the major outside consultants we will need will be a hazardous and environmental consultant. We need what's called a phase 1 study, which we have a provider lined up for that. We will need to do an online noise calculation of the impact of the current noise level and of the impact of additional traffic on that. We'll need to do a traffic study by an appropriate consultant that projects the impact of on number of trips and number of vehicles and so forth on the adjoining roads. Again, we may or may not need to go from the HUD online noise calculator to a specific noise study. If we do a noise study, somebody goes out there literally with a microphone at various times of day and records the current levels of noise on the site. The purpose of that one is not so much to conclude if we're going to have an impact, but on whether the negative factors of, say, a very noisy site that's near an airport or near a major highway, real near to a major highway, would make it unsuitable for the purpose of senior housing. Those are the major third-party studies that we'll have to do, and we'll, of course, have to do the survey and topographic analysis as well. So that's the HUD environmental study, and again, it involves a number of outside parties. Obviously, the more that the town is able to say, we can calculate that there's no significant impact on schools or on commercial establishments or whatever, any conclusions that the town planner and planning board can support saves time and money. But again, unless you've done one of these, it's a pain. The architect will be doing things like the water supply and the wastewater disposal and calculating how many toilets will be flushed how many times a day and all of those fun little factors. In the environmental area, we will have to have a consultant tell us how much solid waste the site will likely generate and provide sources for documenting that. We'll have to do radon tests on the site, and we'll have to do a visual and public records search on the site to see if anybody ever, buried a car on the site, or if it ever was used to in an industrial use or commercial use that produced toxic or undesirable chemicals. So that's the HUD environmental. That is one of the very first things we're getting to work on. And we are engaged in finding the appropriate consultants to do all of these tasks for us. So coordinating with Fiona, I think will be the first thing. And as we get the phase 1 environmental results, that'll kind of inform what additional third-party work we'll need to get resources to take on. So that's the environmental piece. Any questions on any of those aspects? I know it's a lot.
Just in terms of like ballpark timeline, I know it's this is a lot, but like just ballpark, roughly how long does it take to do one of these?
If I can answer that as a part of my next answer, which is the overall timeline process.
Sure.
It'll probably fit in best.
Okay.
The first thing that we need to do, because there is a lot of architectural engineering and this environmental consulting work that needs to be done by paid people, and at the early stages of a project until funding commitments start to arrive, they like to get paid. So our first job is to develop a pre-development budget and develop a pre-development funding source for it. There are various public and quasi-public agencies that will make loans for this purpose once the site control document, which you have before you, has been signed. That allows us to go to these funders, these lenders, and submit a budget for what we think we're going to need in third-party expenses, and to make an application for those funds. We've identified a target pre-development funder that we think is the most applicable and will be the cheapest and quickest for this particular project. And so what I'm working on right now is assembling the various consultants and their costs and the budget to do this environmental work, as well as some of the other survey and engineering work that we'll need to take on. So right now we're at the point where I'm working on this pre-development budget. It's going to take probably a month to a month and a half to get that together. And then depending on the extent of the survey work that needs to be done and the third-party work that needs to be done, it'll take another quarter probably to get that together. So I sent Fiona and Amber a copy of our adjusted development schedule that ticks off at the P&S date, and I think that gives a pretty detailed timetable for each one of these phases. If I can go to that, I believe we are projecting submission to the state of the environmental checklist by the first quarter of 25, and to get the work done for all of it with the funding and so forth by the last quarter of this year. So that's the current timetable. So we would be working on figuring out what studies we need and a budget for those studies over the next 2 quarters, and we'll be trying to submit the application to HUD for review early in 2025, Q1 2025.
Okay, and so that means having the all the review done and submitting the application.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep. And again, this is subject to getting the pre-development financing approved, and it's subject to the planning office and the planning board, if necessary, agreeing that they'll support an environmental application, say, without a traffic study or without a water and sewer impact study or some of the other things that where the results are expected to be pretty normal, and that helps. Again, the example I always use is it's pretty easy for senior housing to project the water consumption and the wastewater generation. The engineers can do a pretty good calculation based on how many square feet of parking and paving we have, how permeable we make some of the surfaces, and various other things. We can provide good numbers, I think, that Fiona will be able to review with the planning board if necessary, so we wouldn't have to go out and hire a third-party study to generate more of that. Most of it can be generated by the site engineer.
Hi, so Andy, this is Ed Prisby here. I sorry to interrupt. Just so you're aware, this particular lot, it's a little bit controversial. It's in toward the center of town, and I can tell you that they're going to want all these studies. I mean, this is going to be difficult. This is not going to be easy. This is going to be a fight. They're going to want you to dot your I's, cross your T's. Nobody's giving you the benefit of the doubt on this. Just so you're aware. Just so when we're going into this, let's make sure we get a traffic study done and everything is, again, dot your I's, cross your T's. This is not going to be easy.
Good advice. The most recently approved project that got through the local and state environmental review, you may have seen in the papers, it's putting 90 formerly homeless individuals in a former hotel in an urban neighborhood in Worcester. And so the people involved in that study look at the issues of housing some senior citizens and say, hold my beer. We're used to having projects that multifamily housing of any kind engenders opposition. That's life. And so we're used to that. We expect there will be challenges, and my pre-development budget and funding request will be assuming that anything that could be third-party produced, we will need to third-party produce. So that's.
Can I just ask you a question? I mean, this has been, we've engaged you guys for going on 18 months now. Just for the edification of the people who are watching this meeting or who might watch it later, can you talk a little bit about the funding and the timeline for that and why it takes as long as it does to get grants from the state and all that sort of thing?
Well, I think the environmental part that I just described is certainly one of the biggest obstacles, because even just getting the HUD environmental clearance doesn't mandate the state approval of the project for funding. In the past, the typical funded project for family or senior housing involves two submissions. You submit one application where everything balances. We'll be using a number of different funding sources in what they call the funding stack. We'll be using some tax credit resources as well, and we may very well make a request to the town for Community Preservation Act or other funds, or for waiver of building permit fees or other funding things to show local support for the project. Generally, you submit to the state once. They have either one or two annual competitions for rental housing. They're called rental housing rounds. Right now, they are finalizing the state bond bill, which is going to increase the amount of funding available for projects like this. And so right now, one of the biggest problems is getting the attention of the powers that be. You get the attention of the powers that be by putting together a complete application, by advancing your design and your engineering and your various details of the project as far as you can. It's a little bit of a balance because we're spending money that we don't have based on an agreement that isn't a final agreement until the environmental is completed. So again, in general, the process involves 2 applications to the state. There may be an extra round with all of the funding available in the bond bill, depending on how much it winds up being, which would speed things up. But I think the schedule that I sent is very realistic at this time. And I will say that we could not do anything until we had worked out the legal details with the town attorney on the method of acquisition. That took quite a bit of time because the attorney was very nice and was very helpful and very good to work with, just kept finding new issues to resolve in terms of the land disposition and fitting this in with the state law governing municipal disposition. She finally saw the light, and we were able to have solid answers to any of the questions or objections she had. And as soon as we could get the agreement signed, we could, but we have been unable to do anything until we have a signed agreement. That happened on March 14th. So for us, the clock started ticking on March 15th, and I've been trying to marshal all of these resources for pre-development ever since.
And who were the powers that be that give you the okay with the pre-development to go?
In what sense? That
So-
give us money to spend on
Yes.
architecture? Okay. In this case, it will be a nonprofit entity that is a statewide entity. I can't disclose which one it is right now until I get some more in terms of a commitment. But they have the same point. Now they work with us as experienced developers, so it's not like you and I formed a partnership and decided we're gonna go build senior housing, and we've never done it before.
Right.
It's we have some track record, and so we have gone to them and said, hey, this is in our pipeline as the next project, and we'd like you to consider a funding request. And they've said, yeah, we'll consider a funding request. That sounds pretty good. Give us a budget and a timeline. So the budget and the timeline is what I'm working on, and my staff. We have 2 project manager developers that work with me, and we have housing management people and various other consultants and folks. We have the architectural team, which has been very good. Unfortunately, we have the same engineer on all of our projects as the town does. We use Graves Engineering. And so I've begun an interview process with other engineers to select somebody that can carry that ball across the goalposts on this project. I don't have one selected yet, but selecting an engineer and survey company will be another early activity here. But all of this pre-development work takes both time and money, and so you need budgets, you need an outline of the work and services, you need to get approvals from the state that they will accept and welcome the work of ABC Engineering or whatever. They were already happy with the architect. And they've done many projects with the financing consultant, Commonwealth Collaborative with Lefferts, who has worked with us on many other projects over the years. So again, I don't think many of you are old enough to have ever watched the Ed Sullivan Show on television, but Ed Sullivan was a variety show on Sunday nights, and one of the frequent acts that appeared was this juggler who came out and had these sort of tall poles, and atop, I don't have proper visual aid, but atop each of the poles, he would set a plate and started spinning. And then he'd stick up another pole and get another plate spinning, and he'd move from hand to hand and keep all of these plates moving at the same time. I am that juggler, or my staff and I are that juggler. We have to keep all of these plates in motion at the same time without dropping them. And like any juggler, when you drop one plate, they all tend to go down. Or when you drop one ball that you're juggling, they all tend to go down. I think that's the best analogy to this phase of development in Massachusetts in 2024. So simultaneously, we're working on all of these environmental and design concerns. We're working to get the state to sort of invite the application, submit a pre-development request, and then generally they will either invite you to submit a full application or tell you, we welcome it, but we'd like you to adjust this and this and this, and then submit in the next round. The state always says no on the first request. No matter how good the project and how good the team is behind it, that you never get funded on the first attempt. They will give you feedback and tell you what they would like you to do differently or what the potential problems you could run into. We expect we will have a submission in the winter or spring round of 2025, but it will not be funded. We then will redesign, reconfigure, redo the funding stack, take note of changes in the financial climate. And again, interest rates play a part in this. The stock market plays, believe it or not, a huge part in the fundability of projects, because tax credits, which are used for virtually all projects, are the yield from the tax credits is based on the stock market returns and market and other economic conditions. So again, and if you would look at the most recent timetable, I think that's fairly accurate, and in terms of timing. And we will report back with information on the progress that we're making on these various things. We may seek help from the town on some things or endorsement on one thing or another, but we believe that the current timetable, which was developed after the March 14th agreement was signed, is pretty close to reality.
And so if you don't get approval from the state on the first submission, you got to wait another, 12 months?
It depends. In the past, sometimes it's been 12 months, sometimes it's been 6 months, and we don't know what this new bond bill is going to do to their timetable. They are very busy. There is a need for affordable housing and for senior housing that is unprecedented in the 50 years that I've been doing this. And they want to get projects done. They want to get good projects done, and they want to make sure that they give you enough funding to do the project, but that they don't waste money on frills or profits. Private developers can apply for this funding as well, and that's why nonprofits have a little bit better edge, because we don't make quite the margin that private side people do.
Thank you.
I know that's a long answer, and I know it didn't really give you a definitive. If I look at the schedule that I sent to Fiona, it suggests that we will be funded sometime in the late 2026, with a closing in 2027 and construction immediately to follow. That would mean occupancy in 2028.
No, I mean, I appreciate the answer, Andy, and thank you for the detail, because one of my concerns, and having been an advocate for this for a long time, is that it, for most of my life, it's been, well, how much housing, right? How much housing can we create that's affordable? But at the same time, I think sometimes we lose sight of how soon. How soon is really one of the key issues in developing. And, had we been on this even a couple of years earlier, you'd have had the benefit of interest rates and costs that are lower and a project that would be more feasible, right? And so the longer that these things sometimes are delayed, the harder it becomes to develop them. And we spend a lot of time politically talking about zoning and, the MBTA bill. But really, for me, in listening to you and having been following this story for the past few years, it's just about funding. It's about how quickly the state can respond to a developer and take advantage of a proposal that is ripe. And I think this one is. And it's, look, I proposed this in 2020. It's going to be 2028 by the time the ribbons are cut, assuming everything goes well. That's a long time.
It is. And again, I have been doing this for many, many years. I'll go back to talking about our Gardner project, which is the only 100% affordable assisted living project in Massachusetts, and is one of the great humble brags of my working life. But it took 10 years from we have an idea for a project to welcoming our first residents. We hit all kinds of bad luck and bad weather along the way. We had building structural problems. We had an economic recession just as we were about to close. We had the tax credit market collapse from yielding 95 cents per dollar of development cost to yielding 55 cents per dollar of development cost. And all of this happened, and we were able to respond to the changing events and the changing climate, and we got it built. And when we finally closed on the financing, as you know, absolutely correctly, getting the money to build it is 90% of the job. And there's a critical mass. There's a point at which you've gotten 75 or 80 or 90% of your funding. And at that point, the powers that be at the state and at HUD will make sure that you get the rest of the funding you need to do that project. So getting to the critical mass of major funding pieces and more than half of your funding stack committed, at that point, you're going to have a project. It's like finishing a crossword puzzle. At some point, you have so many letters filled in that it may take me a while, but I know I'm going to get this puzzle completely solved. And that's an analogy I frequently use in talking about development. You're filling in a puzzle, and you start with the easy words, and as more and more answers reveal themselves, somebody is going to step up and say, well, you could do this. Or if you can get an environmental protection agency grant to remediate this problem, or what have you. People will, once they decide it's a good project, and once you have gotten more than halfway there in terms of assembling your funds, you get an awful lot of help in trying to make all of the numbers come together. And the last thing I will say, and this is my personal philosophy and how I approach every project, to the point where my colleagues occasionally make fun of me for it, is I don't just want a plan B. I want a plan C, a plan D, a plan E, and a plan F. And if possible, I'll go further than that. But you need to have contingencies for everything that could possibly go wrong, or every funding path or source where your your primary option doesn't come through. And that is the way we do development at WCHR. We always have not only a plan B, but C, D, E, and F, because a significant part of the time you will need them. And that's, you know, at some point you can say, boy, we have to make a major conceptual change. And I won't deny that has happened. You know, I've been doing this, as I said, for 50 years, 49 actually, as of right today. And yes, sometimes you have obstacles that are really difficult to overcome without changing the some of the basics of the project. I don't think we're going to have this on this. This is the type of project that is very popular. As I'm sure you know, in the local arena of public opinion and politics, it is easier to develop support for senior housing than many other types of housing. And as I said, just let me propose swapping this project out from senior housing to formerly homeless people, and you will see the reaction that sometimes gets generated. But we know you have a senior population that badly needs this this level of affordability. Not everybody is of the lowest income character where they are most appropriate candidates for public housing authority projects, and there is a massive group of people that are that can't afford the market, as the market has gone crazy for all of us, but that aren't low enough income to qualify for traditional public housing. So that's who we're trying to serve here. There is a huge amount of support statewide for folks in that category, and as you know, we all know that people who have worked all their lives, saved as much as they could possibly afford to save, benefited from the housing boom market if they were able to have to buy a house and sell it at the peak of the market. You know, and they're still looking at a shortfall, looking at not being able to find a decent place to live that's well designed and well managed and cares for the property and maintains the property and has enough finances to do that. So we totally believe that there is a need and a demand for this kind of housing. There are plenty of people at all levels of government and throughout the public that are sympathetic and understand that this is a deserving category of people, and they have needs, and we as a society are leaving them out in the cold. So I do believe we'll get great support from the state for this project, and I do believe that we will be able to assemble the various pieces of funding that we need to put this thing together. But I'm not going to deny it takes time, and I'm not going to deny that there will be obstacles and that we will probably have to make shifts in approach in one way or another along the way. It just wouldn't be realistic if we weren't. We are committed to this project is thoroughly in line with our mission. We want to do more work in the suburban towns. We want to do more senior housing work to follow up on our very successful Gardner project, and like tackling tough challenges. As you can see, if you want to go to our website, you'll see a couple where you kind of scratch your head and say, they really thought they could do that? Well, yeah, we have, and we are doing it. So again, we're enthusiastic about this. I don't want to minimize the difficulties. We've got to put together pre-development funding. We've got to put together a package that will be fundable, and we've got to design in a way that really fits in with the town and makes it, you know, a pleasant part of the environment and the streetscape and the things that make Grafton unique. So we think we've got the team to do it. I'm not going anywhere, and we have the institutional commitment and the board and supporters. I don't know if you saw press release from the Greater Worcester Community Foundation the other day. It was in the papers and the Worcester Business Journal and so forth. But we just formed a partnership to do lending to small-time developers, what we call the pickup truck developers. It's a builder maybe who said, gee, I'd like to develop something as an affordable property, and we provide them with technical assistance. And through Greater Worcester Community Foundation, we now have a line of credit that we can loan them money to develop housing. Our first project under that initiative was in Hardwick, which makes Grafton look like Manhattan, as I'm sure you know if you're familiar with it. So we're trying to spread our work throughout the countryside. We're trying to do both development and lending, and we have a track record of having done some very difficult projects and created some beautiful environments. I would, at any time, like to invite any members of the trust or any members of the Grafton community up to visit our senior housing assisted living up in Gardner. I can arrange a visit for anybody who's interested and see what we think is we want our senior living environments to look like and feel like. And you'll see more happy people than the average senior housing project, and you'll see a truly caring staff and all of the things and a beautiful environment, all of the things you want for your seniors. And we're very proud of that. As I said, I worked 10 years. Took only 1 year to build by the time we started. That's another thing to remember as we get closer to the light at the end of the tunnel, is as you get your funding put together. Once we had our financial closing, we were moving people in 1 year from that date. 1 year. And so once you get to that level, things move pretty fast.
Thank you so
Hi,
much,
Andy.
Yep.
This is Sarah. I'm new to the committee, and I really appreciate this information. This was a really helpful overview. Would love to take you up on that offer to go up to Gardner. I think that would be really great. When I think about our kind of commitments as a trust, one of them is transparency and clear communication with the community, which is in our best interest to get everything moving along. So I'm wondering, do we have a commitment from both sides, from us and from you, on like a regular update, like some type of a quarterly check-in? Maybe not necessarily that you have to join quarterly or every 6 months, but just kind of an update of where things are, how we can help. Does that make sense? And again, I'm new, so I don't know if that's already in place, but just curious.
We haven't anything formal in place. We are very transparent too, as you can see. And again, I am trying to be as realistic as possible about the timelines, about the obstacles, and about the various stages that we'll go through on the way of this journey. So if you want a commitment, I will be happy to make such a commitment and report regularly. I'm thinking, given the amount of work involved in each stage, that maybe quarterly is a little more frequent than I would suggest. Maybe biannually would be a little too infrequently. Maybe every 4 months, maybe thirdly. I don't know, but yeah, we'll keep
that works.
Share our progress.
Yeah, and I don't want to be super intense about it. I just want to make sure that we kind of have it on the schedule, and then we kind of stay in touch. I think that's always helps everyone stay in the loop and accountable. But I think someone else was talking that I interrupted. I'm so sorry.
Fiona has a hand raised. Fiona.
Yeah, no, Sarah, that's a good point and a great question. And I think what my role will be, I'll connect with Andy because I'll be with the environmental review piece and whatnot. I'll be able, I go to all the trust meetings, so I'll be able to provide a meeting, an update monthly. Some months might be nothing, but and then we can probably have Andy come back once we hit kind of one of the major project milestones where worth reporting. But in the meantime, I think I'll be there and can, you can bounce questions off me and whatnot. So I think that's a good
Fiona,
arrangement.
can I ask you, are you also the local zoning expert and contact that we should be dealing with? Because our attorneys right now are working on the list of potential waivers or zoning relief measures, whether through variance or special permit approval or whatever. And he's well into that. We have to submit that to HLC. And should you be the liaison for that, the local part of that?
Yeah, I can help. I believe you'll need to talk to the ZBA administrator, Katrina, because it's, it's going to be a comp permit, and she had, she'll probably her feedback. Maybe we can get on a discussion and get that list going. When are you trying to send that in, Andy?
That should be this summer, because it takes them some time to review. So my target is Labor Day for that, assuming vacations and availability all don't bump that back.
Okay, yeah, no, let's I'll connect and we can get that list going, and because I know that it's a little bit more time sensitive. So
and I will say that the availability of being able to attend public meetings like this via Zoom and the availability to convene meetings from all of the technicians and the pros like Fiona, our attorneys, our architects, and so forth, via technology does help an awful lot to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So I think that'll continue to prove a big benefit.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Any other questions or?
Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. I look forward to working with you as we bring this around to reality. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Bye-bye.
All right. Next is 1727 Upton Street.
I'm John Grant. I'm the president of GSX Ventures, and I know there's a lot of new people on the board, so thanks for having me here tonight. I thought I'd come and give you an interim report because you're brand new, and I think you need to be sort of brought up to speed. The good news is we're in for our final approval presentations to both planning as well as the Conservation Board. And I believe we're going to get through by the end of the month on both those, or the beginning of next month. The project's made great progress. When we get those approvals, I'll return to your board to do a presentation and show you what the final disposition of the project is. We even have a video of a drive-by animation, so you can see the building and you can see the drive-by from town center all the way down the street past the building and coming back. I just have to say that Fiona and the Conservation Board have really been gracious and helpful, and obviously they're conscious of the fact that housing for downtown is needed, and that we're going to have a lot of locals who need affordable housing served by this project, which should be pretty handsome and has a lot of other aspects to it, like community gardens and things like that, that should be a nice asset, for the facility and probably for the community to some extent. Beyond that, I was going to ask you to possibly show up for our planning board meeting, because we are going to be asking for the special permit. The special permit allows us to go, and it's by right, but it allows us to go from 80 units to the 121 or 122 units that we have, that gets us a full 30 affordable units, which is important to get as many affordable units in the project as possible. We don't see particularly any objection to this, but I think it's always positive for the, since you are an investor and a partner in this project, for people from the board to show up and and encourage people that this is a good thing, and hopefully, well, at that meeting, we'll have the drive-through and a lot of elevations and things like that. We'll show how we solve the problems with the wetlands. You know, the project has about over half the site that has wetlands on it. And we've also solved the problems with some of the environmental issues that were on the project. We did a level 2 environmental and made sure that we're able during the construction period to address all of that and to make it safe. I think you just heard from the other developer about the importance of making things environmentally secure, especially at a DPW site that had, you know, guys working with diesel fuel and repairing trucks and things like that. It's sort of like having a gas station or a garage there. And in fact, we still have to remove tanks from underground that held fuel and things like that. So that's part of what we're doing in the process of developing the project. So anyway, you have in front of you, I think, the latest request for funding. One of the things that I wasn't able to get Kathy O'Donnell on, but she didn't understand, there's a bill in there from Besson Development, which is our underwriter. And basically what underwriters do is they do the pro formas. They not only do the pro forma based on the cost that we are generating as we design the building and bring costs in from the construction company, but they also generate pro formas of what the units in the market are renting for right now. And, you know, we do this independently because it's important to have an independent underwriter. So, you know, you're not really getting underwriting from the developer, because banks will not believe underwriting from the developer. They're going to want to see an independent group. And if you look at the pursuit budget we delivered to you, there's a line item that says financial consultant. And so I just wanted to tell you that the financial consultant line item is Besson Development. So I know Kathleen questioned that. You know, I just wanted to show up here and tell you that take a look at that, and everything's in line with our existing pursuit budget. And I'm also here to answer any questions you might have about the project. You know, we're pretty excited about that. We're also taking the same team, and hopefully we'll be pursuing 8 Pine fairly shortly too, to get that back on track and moving. So the gentlemen that we've partnered with at Brendan Homes have their own construction division, and they're able to bring costs down for construction fairly dramatically on both projects, which makes, even in a very trying financial market and a very trying interest market, things doable, which you had to go at it one way or the other. If you couldn't go at it from financing, you had to go on it from seeing if you could reduce costs, and these guys were able to do that. I think they're much more hands-on with these types of projects. So anyway, I appreciate your support, and I'm here to answer any questions. And like I said, next month after we deliver the presentations, I'll come back here with a set of drawings for you guys, and we'll usually make a mini site 11 by 17. I'll give you both of those, and I'll give you the CD for the animation. So if you want to show somebody what you guys are doing, you can show them the animation, shows the building, shows the drive-by and things like that.
That'd be good for the town website.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Awesome. So we were sent out a risk, capital, and use schedule today from you guys, and I was just curious if you could, do you have a copy of that, or could you break that down a little bit for me, especially that bottom line about paid by the grant you've received from us? The total amount, it looks like you've received just over $1 million so far. I just don't know if the dates are accurate, or if the amount is accurate, or...
Well, the thing is that that's split between the development company and the trust. So if you've spent $1 million so far, you've put in $500,000, and they've put in, well, we've put in $500,000 as a developer. But I'm going to be producing a brand new schedule for that that's updated with some of the permit fees we've had to pay along the way. So if you're going to wait until the next meeting, I'll give you a completely updated schedule with all those numbers in it that's accurate. A lot of things that came along were we had additional costs for environmental, and we have had some additional costs for our traffic studies and things like that that we had to put in there as additional costs. But we're right in line with what we have in the pursuit budget, and I think that's what's signed as a part of our agreement anyway. So I'll bring that back and show you how that and the pursuit budget match up. You know, the overages just really go down to the bottom line. I mean, you won't get anywhere near the $1.8 million, obviously, but in the first part of this thing, it was $1.1 million by each group into the deal.
Yeah, there's a line that says what you guys spent as well, so it's not not really how you're describing it, but maybe it's just because it needs to be updated, and
Yeah.
the next version will be a lot more accurate. All right.
So
I think the timeline got stretched out.
it'd be great to just sort of reconcile what you guys have with what we have recorded in terms of funds expended already.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then understand how the rest of the funds will be expended, and sort of when, just some basic idea of how that's all going to go. And then, yeah, there's this whole other realm of permits and other relief from the town. So it'd be good to just review the whole thing, to look at it all as a package, to say, here's how much you guys are putting in, here's how much we're putting in, here's how much the town is putting in, and so that we could sort of see it all together.
Speaking of the town, can we invite the town in, like Evan or somebody, to discuss that part of it so that we're all very crystal clear on how that part's going to work?
Yeah, we could invite Evan. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just met with Evan today too, and
Wonderful.
he'll be there at the planning board meeting as well to push for the project. So I think we got pretty good backing. I haven't heard anybody with any significant opposition to this, but I want to make sure that we get it through, because it's important we get the density. That's what really makes the thing, work.
Yep.
So I appreciate that, and we'll get back next time with a full accounting of everything and show how it all adds up. Actually, we've already gone through, we're actually down to construction documents in the architectural side, so there's not very much left. We've pretty much spent, and there was a huge amount of money in civil engineering that went into this in the front end, because there's a lot of work done with the site with the wetlands and things like that. So all that expense is out of there, and we're pretty much in the home stretch right now as far as expenses go. The next round, is basically just getting into finishing the drawings, getting our permits, and also going out to the banks and our capital markets to get our financing done. So
John, it would be great if you could provide in your next update just a forecast of
Sure.
what the remaining costs are. We wouldn't hold you to it, but just so that we have an
Well,
explanation.
they actually are in your pursuit budget. So I mean, when we do a pursuit budget, we try and account for everything from the beginning to the end of the construction documents and permits, because that's really the end of pursuit, which is risk development. Once you have your permits, you have a different value on your project, just like 8 Pine has a value as raw land, but it also has a value as a raw land with a set of drawings that's approved and ready to go into construction. And so as soon as you make that conversion, you'll have a much higher value on the whole project. So it's much easier to get the thing across the finish line. Okay.
And a couple hands on Zoom. I think Fiona might have been up first.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. So yeah, John, just not to belabor the point, but yeah, we really just need to get a way better understanding of where we're at right now. I had trouble understanding this. Obviously, there's been a good amount of draw requests.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we might be getting close to what was awarded in the grant agreement. We just need to keep our eye on these financials and just have, complete packet next time. Obviously, we're always trying to be cognizant of where we're at, and that this is kind of helpful to start, but we really need to get a better idea. And just reviewing some of the other provisions that are in our existing legal agreements, we'll need to touch base on that as well. There's a couple of outstanding items
Well,
that we should
we'll do
discuss.
that, but I can assure you're not even close to that. The key here is that pursuit package is the roadmap. And so whenever we've done a draw request, it's been against the pursuit package. So I think the only thing that wasn't in the pursuit package is a couple of permits and things like that we had to apply for. It was like $9,000 and a $15,000 permit that we had to do with the state, which we hadn't accounted for. And there may have been there was some additional environmental, because we found some diesel fuel under the garage, and it ended up in trace elements in the wells that we drilled. So we retested all those wells again, and it looks like we're in good shape. What we were worried about was any of the higher lead concentration. One of the interesting things is that in the water table around here, there's actually some natural lead that exists. And so it's hard to tell whether the natural lead is what we're reading or whether it's being read from what we had in the environmental. So, but what we wanted to make sure was that, because we're taking care of it, is that none of it leached into the wetlands or anything like that. And it appears that none of it's going anywhere. It was pretty much concentrated. There was like a couple of, there was a pit, a couple of other things, and there, the readings are high right here, and they go to like 0 these things. But we retested those things again, and it looks good.
Awesome.
Okay, so, and yeah, it's important to be on budget too, because we're interested in that too. We're trying to make this thing work. Financially, the numbers look really good right now. I think we're looking at our return on equity of about 7.4% in the first year, which is a pretty amazing number for this marketplace. Looking at an 8.5% interest loan, which is pretty much what market is right now. Hopefully, by the time we're ready to drop on the financing, which would be before spring of next year, we're hoping there's going to be a drop in interest rates. Usually, right before an election, somebody thinks it's a smart idea to drop interest rates so people can buy homes again. Right now it's a little bit trying for anybody to do anything. So we're hoping that happens.
They said probably not in July when they meet, but maybe in September.
Just
what I
closer
heard.
to November, I think. Probably work. But anything right now works for us. It gives us a bounce, and it encourages the limited equity markets to get back in the game. They basically have been out of the game for about 3 years, which is amazing that anything gets done without the limited capital market. So that's life. You're lucky that you have affordable housing developers who have foundations and things like that, nonprofits that will support these things. With the they all have to use union construction, whose numbers are a lot higher, but they make up for it by getting a lower interest HUD loan. So it sort of balances out. It doesn't really balance out, but in the long run it balances out. So yeah, it's great. All right.
Yeah, just to my earlier point, John, just a complete package next time, please, so that we don't have to try and decipher it ourselves. That would be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem with that at all. Okay.
Thank
And
you, John.
we have a hand from Ed. Just want to make sure we get that on Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Fiona, according to the purchase and sale agreement, whose entity was it that owed us an additional deposit within 2 weeks after the grant agreement was signed?
That was GSX Ventures. Okay. Yes.
So it's an additional $50,000 that we're still owed?
Yes.
Okay. So John, we absolutely should not be paying any bills right now until we get that deposit
I
in.
actually thought that was paid, but I will in fact look into that. I thought we paid it to the city actually.
No, that should come to us. I think, right,
No, it
Fiona?
goes
Or
to the
should
city.
it go to the town?
It's a deposit to the town.
I don't think that
Yeah,
comes to
okay.
us.
No.
The PNS was with the town.
Yeah, the purchase and sale agreements with the town. You don't own the land, the town owns the land. So we have $100,000 with the town right now.
Yeah, but that makes me really uncomfortable. You know, we're writing out checks for tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's still a deposit out there due. Technically, you guys are in breach.
I don't
Well, it's
think
not a
that's
deposit to the
true.
trust, it's a deposit to the city.
Yeah, let me,
Yeah, but
let me
it
verify
doesn't
that.
make me feel any better about it, does it?
Well, we've paid the deposit to the city.
I know that was an issue at one point, Ed, but I do believe that that's been paid. So,
I don't know that it has.
okay, well,
I also don't know that.
All right, well, we'll check into it. I believe we paid it a while back. I mean, when we got the second extension. But we'll
My
check
other
into it.
question is their underwriting costs. Are underwriting costs pre-development or development costs? Or what's the deal there?
Underwriting costs go all the way along through the project. I mean, essentially, you have to underwrite each one of the pro formas as you go through because the economics change as the market changes, and so you can't underwrite unless you're in the market in the moment. So in other words, the underwriting numbers right now reflect what's in the market today. When we do our final pro forma, the final pro forma will be all the numbers we have and all the expenses we've had so far, and also what the rental rates are for a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, et cetera, and also what the rental rates are for affordable, because affordable numbers have changed as well. So it changes the numbers, and that's what we use to go in front of the banks to get your funding. And that's how you figure out what the return on investment is. And
No, I understand all that. I think the point that I'm making and the point that Fiona's made here is, you know, we're starting to run, a shovel hasn't been put in the ground yet, and we're writing out checks, and there are a lot of checks, and this isn't a bottomless pit of money.
Well, no, and I don't think you're doing anything more than you agreed to in your agreement. So I want to make sure you understand that. It's not just your checks, it's both of our checks. And you should also understand that in development of anything, there's a huge amount of money at risk in the front end. The good news is you know, as soon as we get the agreement with planning and the agreement from the conservation board, that your money is basically safe. I mean, you have the deal and it's moving forward. And it takes usually anywhere from $1.5 million to $2 million to develop a multifamily apartment project like that, and including the fact that you're doing one next to wetlands, which has cost a lot more money, and also one with environmental issues. So, you know, none of this is cheap, as you just heard from the gentleman who was talking about developing the other project. And certainly the scale of this project is a lot more expensive, and your funds stop, I believe, before we do any construction and construction financing. That's about 27 million additional dollars that go into this project. So you're not responsible for any of that, but you do have the benefit forever of the affordable units. So I mean, you have to sort of look at that as an investment of a forever, you know, 30 units that are forever going to be affordable in that project.
I do have a question.
Sure.
You just said something that is sticking with me, where our money will be safe once you get through Concom and planning.
Mhm.
And with the about $130,000 request tonight, could we vote on that after you're done with planning and Concom?
No, it's part of your contract. I mean, it's not even safe. I mean, it's a matter of, we have the things done, okay? I mean, you're going to get through both of those things.
Mhm.
But part of the thing is risk capital is pursuit funds. And pursuit funds mean that you're moving the project, you know, forward through pursuit. I mean, that's why we have an agreement, if you
Right.
know what I'm saying. There's nothing in the agreement that says you can stop. And we can't stop either. I mean, you know, if you fund, I can't sit back and say, oh, we decided not to fund this month. So it's a mutual thing, and you have consultants who need to be paid.
Okay.
You know, they're also your employees as well as they are our employees. You know, so you don't want to shortchange the people who've done the work.
do we have a copy of the pursuit budget?
Yeah, it's part of your contract.
Where is that? I have the agreement up, the grant agreement up, and it does
It's-
not have an.
it's-
I can
It's
forward it to you.
Okay.
I
ex-
didn't get it.
exhibit number 1.
Is that what, when he says pursuit budget, the risk capital and use schedule, is that the pursuit budget? This, does it look like this to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, this is what I asked you before, when they're asking forecast going forward, this budget only goes out until March 2024.
You may have an old one there. I mean,
This is what was sent out to us today. So that's some of the confusion I have going on.
Okay, okay. Well, what she did was she didn't show. Okay. You don't have the pursuit budget that's attached to your contract. The attached contract goes all the way out to the total pursuit, which is like 2.1 or 2.2 million dollars.
Okay.
And it goes all the way to the end of construction documents, and I think she's just showing you what was spent to date.
But then that's the numbers that don't make sense, because to date it says you've used $1 million of our money, which I know that to not be true.
Well, it'd be $1 million. It'd be 500,000 of both.
But yours says $1 million as well. So it's
Okay.
$2 million.
I didn't see what went out from our bookkeeper today. I mean, I've been here today, so I'll take a look at it and I'll send you tomorrow the actual pursuit budget. But it's an attachment to your contract.
Okay.
Okay? I don't know why you don't have it.
I don't either.
Let me see.
I know your attorney has it because she's
It's listed as an attachment,
yeah.
but in the document that I have, it's not actually in there. So
Kathleen O'Donnell, who's your attorney, reviews all these bills that we send in and matches them against the pursuit budget. So she doesn't advise you pay anything that's not in the pursuit budget. One of the things that she didn't understand was that the underwriter is the financial consultant in the pursuit budget. So
Yep.
that's best in
you can understand our.
No, I mean, this, I've been doing this for 40 years and I get confused by it. So, I can understand if it's your first or second time doing this, but, this is pretty typical. It's not really typical that we do it as partners with a nonprofit or with a trust fund, but with the split here, you're our partner in this deal. So.
Any other?
Any other questions?
Would you like to ask a question, Mr. Member of the Public?
Well,
Yeah, it's not with the original vote either.
for the record, David Robbins, 92 George Hill Road, among other things, Chairman of the Planning Board. I wanted to put in a plug for the next Planning Board hearing in this July 22nd.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing the project back. I obviously cannot speak for the board as to what the board will ultimately do, but I did want to mention the fly-through video, which is very impressive. It's available on the town website under the Planning Department Development Projects webpage. Word of warning, if anybody wants to download it and view it, it's large. It's the better part of a gigabyte. So it might, depending on your network connection, it might take a while to download. But it's well worth viewing. But you can, you can go home tonight if you want to take the time right now. You can start it downloading, but I don't recommend that because it may take a while. But it's worth viewing. And in fact, all of the project materials are there on the website. So, and again, I would encourage all of you to come to the next planning board meeting to see how the project is going. Speak in favor of it. So that's really all. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that.
That was a great commercial. I appreciate that. And I was going to say that, when you look at all those, you've purchased a lot of materials, and a lot of reports, and a lot of information. So, there's a lot of information that goes into making a project like this work. And you've been part of it. It's not a small project. It's a big project. 122 units is a sizable commercial development project. Certainly the one at 8 Pine is bigger, 316 units, but both of them, because they have 25% affordable, have 100% of those units count towards your affordable mix. So 122 on the one and 316 on the other are all being counted towards your affordable mix, which should make you pretty bulletproof for a long period of time, and also give you a great stock of affordable units. I don't think anyone realizes the need, especially if you go to the grocery store, maybe you do, of people trying to make ends meet and running an apartment at the same time all over the country. People who were getting by are spending $1,000 more a month of net income just to go to the grocery store and buy gasoline, and it's a little bit nuts, you know, especially in just a 3.5 year period. I've never seen that kind of rise in costs before. Maybe during Jimmy Carter's administration, we saw that with the gasoline crisis back then, but this is
I'll have to believe you on that one, huh?
not great.
Some of us remember that.
Ed Sullivan.
Yeah. Well, I had a disconcerting experience today. I got on the shuttle bus out of Logan coming in here, and a young man gave me a seat. And I said, has it come to that? I said,
You should just take it.
Huh?
You should just take it.
I did actually. I couldn't not do it because it was being a gentleman. I think if someone's being a gentleman, you've got to compliment them. I said, thank you.
You've earned it.
Well, I appreciate that. All right, if there's nothing more, I'm going to go back and I will get all these collateral materials, especially the financial ones, across to you. Can I get your information too?
Absolutely.
So I can make sure I get you an email.
Absolutely, yeah.
I can send it to Amber and she get it to you, but I'd like to get all the new board members' names and email addresses so I can direct things to you, because it's changed quite a few times since we first started all these projects.
My name's Colleen Roy.
Okay, Colleen.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe I'd just pass around this thing and have you guys give me your names and emails, and that would.
Maybe
So-
we could just have Amber sign.
Yeah, Amber.
Yeah,
has-
Yeah,
that
Amber
would be-
can do that. That's even better. I won't take up any more of your time. Thanks for entertaining me here, and hopefully I gave you a better idea of where we are. You should be real proud of where you are. I mean, it's going to be a great project, and I think you'll be real proud of it. So, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice evening.
I look forward to hearing more about 8 Pine when you have some development.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of interesting things happening there, and like I said, it's this new development group we're partnered with as local, and I think they have really their finger on the tap of the local construction market, so they're able to get pricing that other people weren't able to get. So great. All right. Again, thank you very much.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye now.
Thanks, John.
All right. Town planner report.
Alrighty, so I won't take up too much time. I mean, most of the stuff is already on the agenda in some way, or just discussed it already. I sent Amber the most recent SHI from EOHLC. So I wanted to just give the trust an update on where we're at. We're at about 9.1%. That was with the recent submissions that I completed, most recently sending off the COs for all of Prentice Place. So this gives us a more, I've been getting a lot of questions about where we're at, how things have changed recently. So with the requests that I've done with 59 Pleasant, Prentice, 116 Upton, we're moving in a positive direction. I always say the SHI is kind of always a sliding scale. Some of these projects are on there, and building permits COs still need to be issued. And there's a timeline to do that. So if they're not done in that timeline, they can fall off. So I'm always kind of cautioning people this is a snapshot of where we're at. I will continue to monitor this, submit requests when I can, but Katrina in the building department and I all keep a close eye on this, but when projects are moving through the building permit and CO process, it takes time, and the state doesn't want to see piecemeal submissions of, one building permit for an affordable unit here and then another one like 3 months later for the next unit. They want all of the affordables all at once in one complete package. So that's how we're doing it. I'm not going to be doing submitting one at a time because that's insane. So this is where we're at. And if I answer any questions for the trust or talk about anything specific, happy to do that. They might be a better use of time considering.
So the, so that, number, it doesn't, are those counted in the SHI yet? Or
Mhm.
not in, okay.
Yes.
So are we?
Yep. So this is the current SHI.
Are we back in safe harbor at this moment?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, but we're getting close.
Okay.
So I always want the trust to be aware of when we're getting, we were at 5.8 last time we checked back in March, but with all of the progress of the recent projects, I definitely wanted to get a better understanding of where we're at. It helps that all of us to kind of be able to get a better understanding.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Oh, get a member of the public again.
Okay, this is on the topic of the SHI. I just happened to, I think I was looking at that yesterday, and when we've got 3 projects currently in the pipeline that we hope will show up on the SHI. 8 Pine may come back. We've got 5 Millennium and 1727 Upton that at some point will arrive on the SHI. When those 3 projects, assuming they do end up in the SHI, we'll be pushing 18%. But again, you don't count it until it's actually happened. But if those 3 projects come to fruition and get back on the SHI, we're going to be looking pretty good.
That's very nice.
If everything worked out very well and perfectly, but development always has it's a very complex industry, and things as we've seen this evening with the other presentations, things take time. So when we heard from 5 Millennium, for example, the other night at the planning board meeting, they said it's going to take a long time to get that project. They'll get their permit through us, and they can be eligible to be included on the SHI once they get their planning board permit, right? But then you've got to get building permits for all of the affordable units within 12 months, I believe the regs say. That doesn't, I don't see that. I don't see that happening personally, but and then from there, once all the building permits are issued, you need all the COs for the affordables within the following 18 months. So we do it's to Dave's point, it's always important to kind of look to the future and see what's coming. But I do like to always say, grain of salt, because
Don't
can't hang your hat on it.
There.
Yeah.
So when we cruise past the 10%, then there really aren't any more 40Bs, right? It would be developers that want to do
There could be LIP.
work against zoning would have to go through the LIP process.
Yeah, I think the difference is, comprehensive permits are still a thing. The difference is the discretion the permitting authority has with regard to approving them.
Okay.
But I think, comprehensive permits are still a thing even after we're past 10%. But what changes is the discretion that the ZBA has with regards to approving them.
Got it. I'm going to guess how that's going to play out.
Yeah, but and never forget that the SHI is not counting actual affordable units. If I thought about it, I've got that data at home.
Totally understand.
But I couldn't quote you on it. But yes, the SHI is the SHI. It's not the count of units that are actually affordable.
Yep. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to hear from ZBA what they would deem acceptable in terms of a comprehensive permit.
Yep.
That a developer could align with in terms of applying for a LIP.
Yeah, we have not yet had to face that question.
Yeah.
I mean, we're also probably a few years out from that too, actually.
Yes, as Fiona pointed out, it can take a while. We've got these projects on the drawing board right now, but they have to jump through a number of hoops before they actually show up on the SHI. And as we saw with 8 Pine, they can show up on the SHI and then drop off again.
Right.
So it's not, it's not complete until it's truly complete, and you don't want to count on anything until it's actually there. Even Yeah, we thought we looked good with 8 Pine until they were unable to make progress largely due to the financial impact of the pandemic. Now, as we just heard, 8 Pine may have life, but again, we have to see it to believe it. And even after if 8 Pines resumes development, it's not permanently on the SHI until the COs have been issued.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hoops to jump through. But it looks promising, but don't count on it until it happens.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is there's if it's going to be a few years, that means there's a few rounds of annual appointments to happen. That might be a conversation to have with candidates for ZBA.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
Anything else on town planner report?
No, but I'm going to circle back to the CPC report. We're not going to meet again before August 1st. You guys all feel super comfortable with me just getting the numbers from Mary and submitting them to CPC? Do we need a motion for that?
I feel like that's just the treasurer's duties.
Okay, as long as I'm not doing anything you guys aren't comfortable with, that's all I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
It'd be great if you could bring it to our next meeting.
Oh, I would definitely
I
push
feel
it out too.
Very comfortable for
Yeah.
you to just deliver it.
Okay, cool. That's all.
Cool. Do we want to come back to reorganization now, or we said at the end in case Ed showed up, but
Here I am.
Ed's here, so figure this might be a good time before we get into discussion of goals and
Ed, would you
directions
say a
going.
goal of yours is to be chair? See what I did there?
Sure.
I'm going to just make the motion
work.
and put him in the hot seat. So I'll make a motion that we nominate Ed as the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, just for me, guys, I'm sorry that I'm not there tonight. Those of you in the room know me. Like, I hate it when I'm out of pocket on stuff, and being on vacation, obviously, that happens. So I'm sorry that I was late tonight. But otherwise, I think I would probably be pretty good at it. And if I'm not, you can always just tell me. That's fine.
We could tell you're on vacation because of the shirt.
Oh, I wear these shirts all the time.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will vote by roll call.
After I?
Colleen?
Roy, aye.
Nicole?
Nicole, I.
Sarah?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Dan, aye. Congratulations. I guess I'll continue since, I'm in the room here.
Thanks for stepping up, Ed.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
And then last is clerk, I think.
Oh, yeah, clerk. That's, I think, me.
It
Which I
is.
think is why I'm doing this right now.
It is.
I guess was anybody else interested in being clerk? I don't know if there's any actual duties involved now that we have Amber.
Does it say we need a clerk?
I don't know.
I think you just have the option.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you like being
It's-
clerk?
I mean, I like having no duties. So.
You were in line to chair the meeting, though. That's,
Oh,
Yeah. That was a
I
duty.
mean, I'm okay with this. Sure. Yeah. If Ed and Colleen are both not here. By the way, Ed, Colleen is vice chair and treasurer. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Both. Good job.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep you in line. So
Thank you. I need it.
I move to make Dan Kusher clerk.
Second.
All right. Motion and second. Any discussion?
Matt, aye.
All
Roy,
right.
aye.
We vote.
Nicole,
Nicole.
I.
Sarah.
Aye.
Brittany.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Dan, aye. And we are done with reorganization.
You could start writing minutes again as clerk if you feel like it.
I'll think about it.
We know how much fun you had with that.
Goals discussion. Consider So yeah, is this bullet point like the thing, or is that kind of like what, I don't know.
So I thought that
I'm
was going to
sorry.
be the jumping off point for the thing. So we could talk about that first and then get into other stuff. But now I remember writing down the bullet point, but I can't remember what it is. I don't have it in front of me.
It is consider housing production plan action items for fall
Oh,
town
yes.
meeting.
Yep. So fall meeting's coming up. We've only got 2 more meetings with us for actually 1 more meeting until we would actually have to submit something as a warrant article for fall town meeting. And I don't know, and Fiona, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if we've got anything pressing coming up that we would want to address, but I do think certainly we need to start thinking about, okay, if we have funding requests, what are they going to be? How much do we need? We're going through a lot of our grant money for GSX. This stuff is expensive. Like it's called affordable housing for a reason, and because the money is the part of it. So if there are other things that we want to start talking about funding, other projects besides Upton Street and Worcester Street, do we tackle the street across the street from the cemetery? I can always forget the name of it.
Hudson
Yeah, that one. Or Hudson, or do we start getting into rental assistance a little bit harder? Those are the things that I want to start thinking about.
Yeah, I think.
And I'll just add just quickly. So I apologize. I dropped the ball a little bit on this. I should have brought this to the trust a few meetings ago, so we had more time to tease out what we wanted to prioritize for fall. It's been crazy, and even if we didn't, if we wanted to really work and study a topic in particular and get some maybe like consultant feedback, or have me take some more time to research, and we wanted to pursue spring 2025. I mean, that's an option too. There's a few low hanging fruit items. I mean, some of these strategies we're already actively pursuing. Like we could be bolstering, like as Ed mentions, but I just wanted to apologize. I should have been on this a little bit sooner. So sorry about that, trust. But we'll implement them together. We'll get it done. But
well, why don't we do this? Why don't we set up an action item for the next meeting in August and go through the low-hanging fruit of the housing production plan, even if it's something that we don't get to vote on for October town meeting. At least have it on the front burner for springtime meeting, and then talk about a goal session for maybe we do a retreat. I don't know, but we can talk about a goal session at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because certainly between now and 2028, we're going to have time on our hands.
So so I'll plan for that next meeting and come prepared. And I know Dave is there, so Dave, you should also come on behalf of the planning board. Talk through some of this, and I'll bring this up at planning board meeting too, so they're aware.
All right.
All right. Anything else on goals before we move on? All right. Bill schedule. So I'm not 100% sure where we left the GSX draw request. Are we verifying something first?
So Kathleen sent out an email this afternoon saying that she recommended paying in full.
Oh, okay.
I think I shared that with everybody. I apologize if I didn't.
No, you did. You did. And then we're positive that that's the right amount. I know sometimes in the past we've altered them just ever so slightly, so we feel confident in this number before any motions are made. Because it's a big one.
Yeah, I think that Kathleen had sent us an email, or I was included in an email chain earlier today where she was just basically saying, look, again, we'll pay these bills because that's what we're contractually obligated to do, but this is not a bottomless well of money. So, be aware, and like Matt referenced, and I think Colleen you did as well, I want to make sure we're sort of on a roadmap to an end result that fits within a budget. So that's, the more money we spend, obviously, the more concerning that's going to be. We know we're going to spend the money. This is why we partnered with these people. But at the same time, I want to make sure we're kind of on track not to go over budget here, or we're going to be left with a 3/4 completed project with our money depleted. That's obviously the nightmare scenario.
After we approve tonight's request, we're going to be floating around 40% of our agreement.
Right.
So that's, and he's saying it sounds like we're getting close to the end, so that seems pretty good, right?
Well,
Unless the next couple are going to be massive.
I took that to mean.
He said that, but construction documents is another 40% of the whole fee.
Yeah.
Construction documents is the
took
most
that to
expensive
mean
thing, and it takes the
getting
longest
close to
time.
the end of the pursuit budget,
Okay.
not the total grant.
Right.
Oh, okay. I mean, the total grant's the total grant. Once we've hit that, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like
And Brittany's right. Like, the more everybody loves public input, but the more public input you have, the more meetings you're going back and forth. Their construction documents change, lawyers' fees change. You're at a bunch of different meetings. Like,
Yeah, there's always ad services coming up the
Yeah.
pipeline.
so it's just, it just makes me nervous. Something to be aware of,
Super fun to make this motion right now.
isn't it?
Madam Treasurer.
Okay. All right. I move that we pay the GSX draw request number 13 in the amount of $127,116.44.
second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Matt, aye.
Colleen, I.
Nicole, I.
Sarah?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Dan, aye. Motion carries. We have another bill from Kathleen O'Donnell. Any discussion or emotion on this one?
No, that one seems straightforward to me.
Kathleen's great. Move we pay the bill.
All right. I move that we pay the bill to Law Office of Kathleen O'Donnell, invoice 1099.
Second.
Second.
Okay. I didn't have the amount in front of me. Sorry, everybody.
That's fine.
$750.
So for $750.
All right. Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Matt?
Matt, aye.
Colleen, I.
Nicole, I.
Sarah?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Dan, aye. Motion carries. Minutes. Any corrections or discussion on the minutes? Hearing none.
It's not FinCom, Dan. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
Gonna pick apart the minutes.
Let me give a minute.
I move to approve the minutes from June 13th, 2024.
Second.
All right. Further discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, or in favor by roll call. Matt?
Matt, aye.
Colleen, I.
Nicole, I.
Sarah?
Aye.
Brittany?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Dan, aye. Motion carries. Adjournment. Do we have a
Motion. So moved.
Can I just give a
Second.
quick update from
Sure. We'll do a quick update before I acknowledge the motion.
very quick. I'll make it really quick. Just a couple of things. The Robinson property has come up before the select board for its first right of refusal. That's the last parcel. So I just wanted to make the trust aware of that. The fact that I don't think that we would have any interest in that. I think we looked at one of the previous chunks of property down there. This is sort of the last waterfront piece.
What's the amount?
What was it? Around 400 grand, I think. Do you
It's
remember?
430.
420 or 430, something like that.
Yeah, so it's a bona fide offer that we have to match. So it kind of is what it is. So I just wanted to bring that to the trust's attention. And if there is any interest in that as from the trust standpoint, happy to bring that back to the select board. It's there.
Do you know
On it.
which one specifically it is?
It's 129. I thought was.
It's 179 and 183.
Okay. I thought we already did those ones.
We did lots 1 and 2. This is lots 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Extracting maximum value.
And there wasn't much buildable land, if I remember correctly,
That's right.
on the other two.
And they've been flagged to like preserve the water and keep it safe, and so
Yep.
developing
Mhm.
seems to be
They're immediately upstream of Silver Lake.
yeah. Yeah.
And we own.
Yeah, not ideal.
The whole property
Right.
around it.
So it's been like a goal to get it all.
Seems like a
All right.
total no-brainer, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, it's our monopoly move.
And then we put up the
No,
hotel.
then we don't. Then we don't do that.
All right.
For the record, that was a joke. All right.
If anybody has any input on that they want to send along to the select board, just shoot me an email, and happy to send that along. The next thing, just a quick. I think we all got it, but the developer for Snow Road has upped the count of the 3-bedroom units on Snow Road. So I think in part that was based on a discussion that I had with them. I'm not sure if other select board members had those, but that's great news. Obviously we want as many bedrooms as we can, and going from 2 to 3 bedrooms in terms of affordable units. It opens up a lot in terms of families being able to live in Grafton in those affordable units. So it was they added 11, so it was pretty significant. Which I was pretty pleased with.
Going forward, can we add an agenda item called select board reports, just so that Matt can fill us in on all these wonderful tidbits as they come?
Good idea.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for doing that, Matt. Thanks for being an advocate for that.
Absolutely. That's all I have.
Matt, can I just, so I got an email from Benincasa today and the state, and they're going with the original unit composition chart that was presented to the select board.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so sorry to be the Debbie Downer about that. I think I raised a concern with the state saying, we had a public comment period based on their application package they presented and was approved to the select board, and then there was an email exchange about that change that you mentioned. And all I said was, will this affect anything? And then the state thought maybe this had to go back for select board approval, and I think I don't know, somewhere they decided to go back to just what was originally presented. So that's kind of how that shook out. It all happened very, very quickly.
All right. That's super bummer. Okay.
Yeah.
I just had
Sorry.
Quick discussion with. No, it's fine. I'm glad I know. I am a little bit disappointed, but yeah, it was my my belief that it wouldn't have to go before the select board because substantially it's the same development. I know the bedroom count is different, but it's the same footprint. It's the same number of buildings. Same. I mean, so.
Yeah. And we relayed that to them. We said, if the unit count and composition isn't significantly changing, it wouldn't trigger like a new approval process with the select board. That was my understanding. But I think they just made an executive decision internally to just go with what they originally proposed and presented to the public. So, yeah.
All right.
And I guess just there again, when we talk about the housing crisis in the state, most of the stuff that we talk about is kind of beside the point. It's the nuances and the bureaucracy that surrounds just creating additional affordable units for families of that. Oh my God. If you were to describe this to lay people, they'd be like, what are you talking about? But yep, here it is. Can't do it. Right? Got to go through another process if you want to have more units for families, and then people throw up their hands and then walk away. So, okay. Guess that's how it goes. It's a shame. If anything, I would like the Boston Globe and our state legislature to focus on that issue. Just the Byzantine process that surrounds this entire thing. It's amazing to me.
As if 11 bedrooms changes the fundamental nature of this development.
Same 4 buildings.
Yep.
Same buildings. Same location.
No, it's the same
price.
It's the same development.
It's the same development. Yeah. Yep.
But it is what it is.
Yep.
you know, we just have to keep advocating. And I was actually pleased that, you know, a site walk resulted in a conversation, which resulted in the developer considering, you know, better alignment with our housing production plan, because that's how I framed it. Is, you know, we really need lots of diversity, and 3-bedroom affordable rental units is something that, you know, they're in very, very short supply in Grafton, and that's not going to change. So, yeah, I'm really disappointed, but I'm glad that that part of the process at least worked well enough to get it to the point where they were considering it, even though it kind of went down the tubes in terms of the bureaucracy. That sucks, but it is what it is.
On that cheerful note,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. Matt,
Aye.
Colleen, aye.
Nicole, aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Brittany,
Hi.
Ed,
Frisbee, aye.
and I. We are adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody.